It's official. It's the first live that I'm doing, and I need to get a few of the devices uh, ready because it's not going to be easy balancing everything. So let's get this on the way. Perfect. I think that's about it. Great. So, uh, okay. So today's topic is it's right there. We're looking at the impact of media technologies on society, and very particular, we're looking at how it affects the Nigerian society. And it's there's nothing surprising here. This is a society that I'm from, and so I literally saw how it evolved with the change in media technologies that were happening across Nigeria. And then part of this conversation is supposed to give some sort of background into what media technologies used to exist, what type of impacts were we seeing, how did that evolve, and what would we consider new media technologies now in Nigeria, and what are the new impacts that we've observed, and in hindsight, what did we learn from the past, and in foresight, what can we tell, from what we're experiencing now. But all of this is supposed to climax in, getting some learnings into what's really happening um, with the changing nature of the media ecosystem in Nigeria. And to cut down all of this jargon, what this really means is how is the changing technology affecting the lives of everyday Nigerians? And when I say everyday, I mean citizens, governments, private organizations, everybody. And one way you can take a look at this, one way you can start to ask what this means is to look at, um, the impact of small media technologies, for example, platforms, right? This is the new one of the new technologies that we're looking at, and how are platforms changing the nature of the ecosystem. Let's take Facebook. So Facebook as an app has been, an awesome contribution globally in terms of technologies that changed the world, and we see how more and more people have adopted it, have used it, have become a part of it. My mom is on Facebook, my dad as well. I have a friend who is my mate who has just opened a Facebook page for his daughter, and you see that it cuts across three generations. It's really affecting us. It's powerful in the sense that never before the coming of these types of platforms were people able to engage. Um, never before were people able to engage with the sources of information that that they were being presented with. So in the past, for example, you would read a book and you would enjoy the book, but then you would drop the book back, and that's it. You had no business talking with the author. There was no way for you to communicate with him. All the message you wanted to get would be inside of the book. In the same way, and as how you read a newspaper. Newspapers evolve beyond some of these things. When you read a newspaper, as some newspapers started to seek out much more engagements, they will have sections where people could actually write letters to some of these editors or to some of these columnists. And that way, the editor would inculcate the letters in the next edition, or they would send that out and people can write for the edition that is coming. So slowly, you can see how people start to try to participate in the process of information dissemination, in the process of disseminating information. But the coming of these platforms just made it direct. You can directly engage with, say, CNN on its page. When the news is posted, you can literally comment to say, I love the work that you guys are doing. This is great. I had a friend there. And you can get feedback directly from the person who posted, thanks for liking our work. Or you can go there and say, shit, this news is incorrect. I was there myself and I saw how it was, and it's vastly different from what has been stated here. What this means is that you can literally participate in the process of news creation, the process of information creation, the process of information dissemination. And before platforms, this didn't used to exist. So it's radically changed how people engage in general. So that's an example of what this is. But why is it interesting in general? Let's take other parts of it that aren't so tantalizing as what I've just described, that it increases engagement between citizens and institutions. Let's take Instagram, which is a spin-off. Facebook literally Meta owns Instagram as well, and we have a lot of social practice that has been altered because of the presence of Instagram. And this is not my opinion. This is a bunch of academic papers that have sort of pointed this out. And at the end of this, I'm gonna make a link to some of the papers that are touching on the things that I've mentioned. For example, when it comes to the dissemination of information by platforms. For Instagram, for example, uh, we have this type of situation where it's designed, for you to continue to just, scroll, and it creates this habit where you are stuck on your device in your hand, just sort of moving on and on and on and on. And this is one of the physical aspects of it. People have connected this practice to a associative disorder. People have connected these practices to what do you call it? They've connected it to being addicted, for example. They've connected it to being disconnected from people around you. So you'd have two, three, four, five people all holding their phones and staring at their phones, but, in a place where they are all together. So it doesn't allow you to socialize, for example, and on and on and on and on. It prompts women, for example, young girls uh, to share content that um, in a way uh, introduces new nuances to how we perceive ourselves in our society. And these are the different ways that this app alone is interacting with our society. And I just called two apps because there are tons and tons of them. There's Snapchat, which is very similar, and then there are features within apps themselves that that change the way that we interact. You can talk about WhatsApp being a platform where people just communicate, but then WhatsApp developed this status uh, feature where people can share how they feel on their status or share news or information on their status. And somehow this is already replacing much of the news platforms and outlets that people are accustomed to. Because my WhatsApp is always on my phone and I'm always chatting with people. And so if I see on a status that, this thing happened, I would click on that status and I would get my news from there. And that's because it can bring the news directly into the space where I'm having personal conversations with family or friends. And not a lot of apps, have this feature. And not a lot of the apps that have this feature are as, proliferated as WhatsApp, for example. So these are many more ways, the ways that these platforms have changed the fabric of our society, and that's what this series of live sessions, we'll be looking at, we'll be addressing, we'll be touching on. Um, but the learning curve here, the takeaway from here is that I'm not just going to sit down here and talk to people about, what it's doing to society. The purpose here is to disseminate information, yes, but not only that, to disseminate tools, tips, you know, and tricks that you can use to better position yourself in the wake of these changing technologies. And that can go for an individual, that can go for a business, that can go for communities, that can go for institutions, and that's why the entire world society was used to encapsulate what this particular sessions will be looking at. And I also put that it will be looking at Nigeria because this is where I have specific experience and knowledge. uh, I could at some point get data from other countries that are similar to conditions that we see in Nigeria to make some sort of comparisons or to point at some similar trends. But largely, this will be focused on Nigeria. So if you stay on this channel, if you come and watch, you're gonna get some takeaways, and that's what I call them. I call them tools. I call them, tricks. I call them tips, things that you can learn or absorb to help you sort of grow as you continue to do the things that you're doing that are related to new technology across Nigeria. So thanks for listening. Please don't hesitate to click on the next live that we're going to do. We'll be super happy to see you there. And ciao, ciao.